Good morning, good evening, and welcome to another interview for Motivation Inspiration. Birmingham Wheelchair Basketball, Paradance UK, and Chronic Warriors Wheelchair Boxing. We have the pleasure today to speak to Kipp Watson, Rancho's Roadrunners. I think I pronounced that correctly, Kipp, did I?
It's close. Rancho Roadrunners. And to be legalistic, we added LLC, which stands for Limited Liability Corporation. So if you want to sue me, you have a lot of fun.
Thank you, Kipp. Thank you for agreeing to our interview. And it's nice to speak to our cousins across the water. And it's a pleasure to talk to you. So, Kipp, obviously we've got Owen Lamprey, who's our co-presenter from Clifton Primary School in Birmingham. Please tell me about your story and about wheelchair basketball and about the Rancho Roadrunners LLC.
It's a pleasure to meet with you, Mr. Craddock and Mr. Lamprey. I started Rancho Roadrunners in October or September of 2016. I had been playing wheelchair basketball for about 50 years or so at that time. And I did it because I really believe in the rehabilitative powers of our sport. And I also believe that the time has come to get people to understand that it's a great rehabilitative tool for everybody, disabled or not, qualified or not, to meet certain rules. And in that endeavor, I have developed a business plan, all right, a 10-year business plan. And what I want to see in 10 years, is now 5 years, is professionalization in the United States in our sport. As you know, there are professional wheelchair basketball players in a number of places in the world, but not here. And it's kind of a stark reality that Great Britain and United States being among the pioneers in the development of the sport. I can claim as the United States. I think you might claim otherwise, but leave it at that. We have not evolved as quickly as other countries have in terms of accepting able-bodied people as brethren and sistren. So the time has come. We've got to knock off this idea that only able-bodied people should play the sport. I mean, only disabled people should play the sport. And if we realize that if we integrate our sport, we'll have a market, a demographics, a marketing tool for a broader market that can support professional athletes. I think just having wheelchair basketball be open to everybody and allowing for professionalization is crucial for meaningful inclusion of people with disabilities in our society. It's an important way of knocking down the us, them kind of mentality that has kept people with disabilities in the United States down to a level of employment that's below 20%. It's terrible. It hasn't changed in the 50 years or so that I've been playing the sport and that I've been involved as a civil rights lawyer, protecting the rights of people with disabilities, especially in terms of employment. So that's the goal. Now, how are we going to get there? That's another question. Pretty good one. All right. Well, you need money. Right? You need money to start a national project. You need to get people working together, right?
You do, you do. I mean, Kipp, talking about obviously your career and what, you know, as a civil rights lawyer and everything else that you've done and creating Rio Ranchos. I mean, who motivated you, inspires you, and gave you that passion to push yourself?
Who gave me the passion to push myself? I have to give primary credit to my father, Van Cohen. He was a mild-mannered kind of man, but if you live with him, you have to be inspired by his tendencies towards total honesty. You know, I guess we all come to realize at some point that total honesty in life is a difficult thing to achieve. And so, but because I try to be honest with myself and with others, is because of that, I think that my passion for wheelchair basketball and my recognition that this is what is sustaining me in good mental and physical health for so many decades. You know, I didn't get my Guinness World Record of 12 in a row by not thinking deeply about a lot of things, including meditation, physical fitness, integrity, integrating my senses of proprioception with my attitudes and discipline approach. So that's all in the mix. But if I have to pick one source for my inspiration, is my father.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about motivation and inspiration and, you know, how we support others, and you do an amazing job with Rio Ranchers and everything else that you do. But why is motivation and inspiration so important to support other people and inspire those people to move forward?
I'm not sure if I understand your question. What is?
Yeah, so I mean, you know, talking about motivation and inspiration, and we talk about it's really important to give inspiration to others and support others. But why is it so important? Why does that our influence and what you do and that kind of ripple in that pond from inspiring one person leads to inspiring others as well?
Well, yeah. Inspiring one person will definitely have ripple effects. Random acts of kindness. Let's not understate the significance of that concept. I think it is important to try to promote these ripples. Because for many people who don't have certain blessings that many of us do have, and you know, which we daily benefit from, it's a tough world. It's a tough world. A lot of people feel disconnected from others because it's a tough world. Yes, but there's a lot on the menu, right? For everybody. And so if you can just get one person to say, you know what, I have a journey, I'm on a journey, I'm on a long journey. Let me try to think more about the way I make my choices in life. Let me try out this idea that life is, the sum of life is the sum of the choices you've made. And let me also see if that works for me. And if it works, you know, let me see if I can get other people on board with that idea, you know, of every moment. Right now, you and I making choices. What we say, how we receive what is said, and what our goals are, and how well we remember what our stated goals are. And so, yeah, just if there's a way that you can lend a hand, then that helps people, with lending a hand around, eventually just around the world. People lending hands. I know from the pioneers that put together wheelchair basketball at the Second World War. Well, they went through what the attitudes towards people with disabilities were in the 50s and the early 60s. I hope nobody ever has to live through that again. It was brutal. It was brutal. But the people who came to Fort Hamilton to practice in at Fort Hamilton, practiced wheelchair basketball with the Brooklyn Whirlaways, the Abe Stark Philanthropies, and we had some Hall of Famers, by the way, who were involved in the Pan American Games. Do you remember the Pan American Games? No, were you around there? Yeah. Jude Jacopo, Junius Kellogg, he was the coach for the American team. Spread the word, spread the kindness, spread the love, spread the passion, promote wheelchair basketball, play wheelchair basketball, professionalize wheelchair basketball. Choices every moment of your life.
Thank you, Kipp. We all support communities, and you have your community, we have ours, and they're trying to connect with each other and build this, this promotion of inclusion and diversity in the community and build on resilience. But how can that support our individuals, our communities to go out there, support themselves, and continue to build that resilience to change their mindset? What would you say to how do we do that?
We need to communicate more. And when I was getting into what the 10-year business plan is for the Rio Rancho Roadrunners, I was trying to get to this. I'm not. What I'm trying to get to is that we're putting together a website. We have a website up. I mean, it's been around for a couple of years, but we're totally revamping our website. And here's the kicker. We're going to have an application on our website so that wherever you live in the United States, you can pick out a zip code for where you live, and you tell our website, "Hi, my name is Kipp Watson. I want to play wheelchair basketball. I want to know if there are other scrimmagers in my neighborhood." And you put in your zip code, and out comes all of the gymnasiums, fitness places, where people have said they want to host wheelchair basketball games at that site. And so you pick a site from that list. Hopefully, at some point in time, it will be set up in every zip code across the United States. But assuming that it lights up for you in your zip code, then what you say is, "I'm available. I want to play on Saturday at 2:00. I want to be at the gym for like 3 hours. Anybody else on board with that?" And as soon as the computer picks up that there are 5 people who have selected the same site at the same time period, it sends out the alert. It sends out an email to everybody that has been seeking the luxury of a scrimmage.
Fantastic.
So this is my plan. I think that once we have enough people in localities, as you put it, in your own community, once you have enough people who know each other, trust each other, can work together, can rely on each other, and to have things happening, then we will have the growth organically in many parts of the country. And at that point, they will hopefully come to learn about our spirit of entrepreneurialism. When I told you that one of the answers was getting the money, well, I've been fortunate in finding sufficient private investors who, in the tune of several $1 million, without, I can't describe exactly the amount here. I will let you know as soon as I can. But the idea is that we are funded for a nationwide campaign that will push for organic growth across the country. And once we have regional areas with sports centers similar to the one we're planning on developing in Rio Rancho, we get that in 4 or 5 different regions of the country, we'll have the infrastructure for professional wheelchair basketball. That's what it is.
That's
you
fantastic.
Cannot build an infrastructure from the top down.
Yeah.
This is what I would advise anybody thinking of pushing professionalization. It has to come from the ground up, and it's got to develop organically. And but there, you have to. Some people have to set examples for how to do that. And I'm trying to set an example in Rio Rancho. We just plunked down a couple of $1 million for 80 acres. 25 acres is zoned commercially. So what are we going to do? We're in the process of working with advisors who are very experienced in the development of sports tourism centers. And we're developing a plan for utilizing that 25 acres to have a Southwest Regional Tourism Center. We, right now, the plan will include 6 basketball courts. Isn't that nice? Hardwood.
That's fantastic. Wow.
Is that right for tournaments sometime?
we'd love to come over and be part of your tournament, Kipp.
I've gotten, I think from you or somebody from Great Britain, they want to come out here, and I just love the idea. I wish we were ready.
Yeah.
But
that's
we are
easy. Absolutely. I mean, we talk about the future, we talk about young people, but what would your message be to people, especially young people who have a disability or going through trauma, impacting issues and dealing with conditions or a crisis as part of their daily life? I mean, I know you're a civil lawyer and you've gone through the rights of disability, but how do you support young people who are going through these difficult times in their daily life?
Well, there are young people who are dealing with trauma. There are also young people who are activists and dealing with trauma. And I guess what I have to say is a little bit different for those 2 groups of people. For the young person who has experienced a trauma, such as the loss of physical abilities, and you're now with an impairment, people are calling you disabled, you may not really understand what it means to be disabled yet, but I will tell you that you make choices every moment of your life. If you want to go down and just view your circumstances, which are difficult, brutal, no doubt about it. But if you want to see it only in terms of a negative tinge, go ahead. That's your life. But there are rewards in store for you if you look at your options, what you can do, what you can accomplish over what remains in your life, then view it in terms of positive angles. And just one little positive angle, a little bit more stretched at one moment, can lead to the next moment where you're able to stretch that positivity a little bit more. And then you'll forgive yourself for all the nasty thoughts you might have had before you became disabled about other people with disabilities. Forgive yourself for that. It's okay. It's what we work for rather than what we're coming from. That makes the difference in our life. That eventually makes it better for everybody. And when you have a better world, people will see more and more beauty, and it just grows in terms of peace and world love and all that. But it starts with you. And look, I have multiple impairments. Okay, I dealt with them. I'm not saying that it was an easy job. I dealt with a broke up family when I grew up. I was institutionalized in my early years. Was it easy? No, it was brutal. But I was inspired to. I had the blessing of things. My parents who came into my life, with these blessings, I was able to just latch onto that, hang on to that, and move from there. And now I understand that, for example, if one of the things I admire was people who are athletes and they're able to control what they do and have fantastic physical outcomes. You know, it's part of my philosophy, actually. For me to develop the discipline over my mind, to a certain extent, a test would be, well, can I develop enough discipline to accomplish a certain physical activity? And that's what wheelchair basketball is to me. It is working with a team to get a certain physical outcome. And if you don't get that physical outcome, then you didn't do it. But if you do get a certain physical outcome, congratulations, you made that accomplishment. Go for the next level up. Yeah, right there, go to the next level up. Keep working, keep improving. And I think I may have veered off somewhere.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you. I mean, you the things that you've gone through and the things that you've done over your career, and we all have our amazing experiences. But what would you say was your best experience from playing inclusive adaptive sports, or in your career?
My best experience out of my career or my sport?
Yeah. What if you could choose one thing? What would it be? If that really, kind of stands out, or that you can pick.
Well, in my activist career, I think my pride and glory basically has to do with the first of a number of pride marches that took place in New York City. In 1995, I believe we had over 5,000, around 6,000 participants. Before, I was talking about what advice I would give to activists. And the one thing I would tell activists, in addition to what I've suggested for people who have just experienced trauma and are now in our community, activists, remember find out. You're not going to be taught this. Find out about your history, about the history of your community. You gotta learn, because the society at large, they're not so gung-ho on teaching about our accomplishments as a community in public schools. So this is our job. We have to preserve our legacy. We have to preserve our what we've learned during our struggles to become regarded as equals and to become included in our societies. Those are valuable lessons. Don't fail over and over just so that you have to learn these lessons over and over. Just learn it and go from there. That's my advice to activists. So going back to the Disability Independence Day marches, yeah, it was gay pride. It was forgotten by most people in the disabled community, unfortunately. So that's for my career. No, that was for my activism as a disabled activist. For my career as a civil rights lawyer, I would say I wrote a chapter for a national organization of plaintiff employment lawyers, and that chapter was on the employment rights of people with disabilities. It described what the rights under the Section 504 and later on Americans with Disabilities Act. And the fact that I was asked to write that chapter, which has been added on to, has been kept up to date by other lawyers in the field, I promise, a high honor for me. Athletically, I guess there aren't that many highlights. I'm basically a bench warmer for most of my 50 plus years. But I've met dozens of Hall of Famers, and I've got to meet so many people who were incredible people. But I guess a little cherry on top of all of that would be my Guinness World Record.
Thank you, Kipp. I mean, going on, like, that leads nicely into our next question, because obviously, from those experiences, what have you taken from that, and how's that experience supported you as a person, and maybe Rio Ranchos?
Well, like I said before, I'm supported in having understood that wheelchair basketball is an important form of activity. It supported me in my tender years. I'm over 70 now. Yesterday I was in at the gym. I got 11 in a row. If it weren't for me, that would tie the record. So I'm still, I wouldn't say I'm frail in too many ways. So that's stay active, eat right, sleep well. If something is stressing you out, make choices about what you can do to reduce the stress in your life. And go from there.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to pass over to Owen. So this is where I'm going to be quiet for a second. Owen might have a few questions for you. So Owen, over to you.
Okay.
Hi, Kipp.
Hi.
Hi, pleasure to speak to you. Apologies about the voice. I'm not very well at the moment, so hopefully you can hear me.
I hear you. I hope you can well soon.
Thank you. Many of the children and young people that we work with experience inclusion, or the best inclusion experience we can give them at school, and that's often where the only time that they see some truly inclusive practice during their lives. Have you got an opinion, or in your own experience, how school was like for you in terms of inclusion, and what it's like for pupils going to school today? What are the main differences there?
When you say going to school, can I include college?
Yeah, of course.
one of the biggest disappointments in my life when I was about to enter college. I was told by my state sponsors that I could only go to a school in New York State. At that time, anybody who knows wheelchair basketball knows that there was the University of Illinois, a team called the Just Kids. They were really an incredible team in the early history of wheelchair basketball. I wanted so badly to go there so I could be on that team, but I wasn't able to. I've come to the conclusion that over the years, we have to get our society to better understand that equal opportunities in sports means, for example, that if you have a publicly funded basketball program in a certain school district, then what you've just done is create an opportunity for a wheelchair basketball program side by side. And to whatever extent it is possible, people should opt for either of those programs, basketball or wheelchair basketball. And so what I am pushing for is a recognition in New Mexico. I've just hired an advocacy director, by the way. What I'm pushing for is the idea that if you have a school district and you got a basketball program going on in your school district, that's great, but you're missing out on something. Where's the wheelchair basketball? You can't tell me that you don't have anybody in your school district who wants to play wheelchair basketball. Don't even start arguing with me about whether you have people in your school district that are disabled. I can tell you that anytime I go to like a boys and girls club and say, let's do a wheelchair basketball program tonight or next week, the kids are coming out of the woodworks. The first thing they want to do is get in the chair and cream everybody in sight. And once they've done wrecking our wheelchairs, they can go on to taking all the shots that they could possibly muster before they just fall on the ground, totally exhausted. So yeah, wherever there's basketball, there's got to be wheelchair basketball. If it's publicly funded, then if you don't have equal sports opportunities, there's something wrong. And people sooner or later are going to correct that. So make it easy on yourself. Get a wheelchair basketball program wherever you have a basketball program going, right?
Well, that's certainly something that we're trying to do in Birmingham. We're really trying to push inclusive sport through the schools program as well. We've got a school games program here in Britain, where all school children are encouraged to take part in as many different school competitions and inclusive programs as possible. What would your advice to be for schools in school sport to really make sport inclusive for all?
Well, you get the people who play wheelchair basketball on board.
So get them into the schools. We've done that. So we've got Andy to come in, take part in our superhero program. So we're on our way there. But I'm talking about physical education within schools, regular competition outside of basketball. Have you got any advice on what teachers to do to make sure that their practice is inclusive?
Well, okay. Here I have to admit I know very little about what's going on in Birmingham or in England or Great Britain. So let me just talk from my perspective here in New Mexico. We're in shambles. That's the sad way to put it. We have a state university called the University of New Mexico. Surprise. If we have an adapted sports program in the University of New Mexico, I haven't been able to find where it is. We have a couple of professors, kind of like in the adapted sports arena, and they're good people, very nice people, but just no organized activity in order to promote adaptive sports. In New Mexico, we used to have a wheelchair basketball team representing the University of New Mexico. But can you believe it, that team is no longer in existence because of benign neglect? Not so benign in this effect, but it was neglectful. They never put any money in support of the team. Every time I talk about having equal opportunity in the athletic departments rather than these, special ed or something else in the College of Education, I say work with the athletic departments rather than some segregated, intercollegiate kind of campaign that's driven by student government or something apart from where the money is. The money is in the athletic departments. Hey, why isn't some of that money going for athletes who happen to have disabilities? Why in New Mexico do we not have a Lobos Athletic Scholarship awarded to a person who's been drafted or recruited for a wheelchair basketball team? Because a lot of people are maybe a little lazy. They think that we could do charitable and nice things by working outside the system. The system in terms of sports is the athletics department in colleges, the athletic director for your local school districts, and so on. Deal with them.
Okay, well, perhaps we could have
That's
a chat.
what I'm going to try to do in New Mexico. But if that works for you, if that advice makes sense to you, do it. If your situation in England is different, what can I tell you? Go by what you think. But that's what I'm pushing for in New Mexico. I'm going to start dealing with the athletic directors. I'm going to ignore all the people, including wheelchair basketballers. I'm going to ignore them who say that you got to have a prideful Olympics or something that's totally not open to cross play. That was interesting. What's interesting in the United States, there's a movement started in the state of Washington from the Special Olympics people. Okay, and these are people who work with the special population of people with developmental disabilities. And what they've been pushing for are programs where families and friends get to actually be players on the Special Olympics teams that the developmentally disabled participate in. And that's very good. That's really being focused on a specific targeted population that's promoting integration in their family and friends context. And really, when you talk about inspiration, that's really inspirational for me to try to push for this whole across the board kind of integration.
Well, thank you, Kipp. It's been a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you for all your advice on inclusive sport, and it'd be great to maybe chat in the future about what we can both learn from each other in terms of inclusive sport. That's me over and out. Thank you, Andy and Kipp.
Thanks, Owen. No worries. All right. See you later. So, hi, Kipp. It's back to me.
Hi.
You're right. Owen's gone now because obviously he's gone to rest. So, we also have a quick fire round. So this is a new thing we put into our interview. So it's a quick fire round for 5 questions. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Okay. So what is your favorite food?
Spaghetti, and not meatballs, but the vegetarian, what do they call it these days? The fake meat.
Okay. So all right. So favorite drink?
Oh, I don't drink a lot, but I like a Black Russian every once in a while.
Favorite
Oh,
film?
not to mention, on a good day, a Guinness stout ale. Yeah.
Fantastic. Favorite film or TV show?
Favorite TV show? I'll give you the name of the TV show that is helping my marriage. We love to watch Star Trek, old episodes of Star Trek, because a lot of them are well written, actually. My wife is not actually a science fiction fan, but it gives us an opportunity to just watch a series, take in the good writing, and I'll take in the science fiction jazz, and we hold hands for the whole episode. Very
Fantastic.
nice.
Lovely. Favorite music?
Well, I have a baby grand piano by Steinway, and I love to improvise. And sometimes I actually think of my improvisations as being jazzy kind of music.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
Okay. And last question for us, quick fire, is if you had a superhero power, what would that be and why?
If I had a superhero power,
Yeah.
oh geez. You got me stumped. A superhero power, flying, maybe, seeing through walls. I got enough going on. I suppose it would be kind to others.
That's good. That's brilliant. Thank you. We've got 2 final questions, and they relate to obviously
I thought we were going with 5 questions.
We've done.
All right, go ahead.
That was the 5 quick round. That was the quick round 5 fire round, and this is our final questions. All right. So what is the future goal then, or aim for Kipp Watson and the Rio Rancho Roadrunners?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, please?
So what is the future goal or aim for Kipp Watson and the Rio Rancho Roadrunners? And I know you talked about professional league and the website, but what do you see as your future aim and what you're looking to do?
Well, the Rio Rancho Roadrunners and I share this goal. It can be encapsulated in 6 words. Play wheelchair basketball. Promote wheelchair basketball. Professionalize wheelchair basketball.
Fantastic. Our final question, Kipp, is if you could think of a quote to support motivation and inspiration, what would that quote be and why?
You're asking me a question. I'm sorry, say that question again.
So if you could think of a quote to support motivation and inspiration, what would that quote be and why?
All right, a quote is something that was already stated by somebody else. So now I'm being asked to remember things that people have said. Yeah. I'm going to quote the announcer at a baseball stadium. Play ball.
Kipp, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much. Carry on what you're doing with Rancho Roadrunners.
Oh, by the way, I love that phrase. Stay calm, carry on. You know what phrase I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So they actually have there's a group in New Mexico that has a website now, and they're trying to get together Native American Indians to get into adaptive sports and wheelchair basketball, and that's really so wonderful. I'm going to do what I can to support that group of people. But they have a little logo on their website. It's like it's got a Native American theme kind of look, and it says "Stay calm, tribal adaptive sports."
Well, we have one over in this country.
Play tribal adaptive sports.
We've got stay calm, play wheelchair basketball.
Yeah, that's what you do. That's your phrase. Yeah, that's good. So
Absolutely.
good.
Kipp, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Right.
I'll send you the interview across. If you're happy to share it, we'll share it across our social media groups. And I hope one day we can meet in person, whether you come over to the UK or we come over to you, and we'll play some wheelchair basketball together.
That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? Yeah.
It'd be brilliant. All right, you take care. Thank you.
I've been in England, by the way, and you have a wonderful country. So keep up with getting the Paralympics coming and becoming more and more accessible, and that's great.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Take care, Kipp. Bye-bye.